Well, we're all getting through this pandemic with a little help from the internet. What happens when your service goes out, though, and you can't get anybody to come to your house? Brett Larson has the answer.
With millions of Americans working from home, the internet has become a critical part of keeping us connected. With social distancing rules, when problems arise in the home, sending in a technician isn't always an option.
We realize how important it is to keep our customers connected now more than ever during this crisis, because everyone's so dependent on broadband and voice connectivity. But we also know more than anything that we need to keep our employees and our customers safe and adhere to social distancing guidelines.
So in the span of 72 hours, Verizon deployed and trained 10,000 field technicians to use remote video. Customers are sent a link to their smartphone. With a click, a field technician can then access the camera and help the customer.
The technicians can kind of draw on the smartphone screen, point out connection spots, say plug this in here, and work with them interactively so that it's such a simple process that they've been very receptive.
And so far, Verizon has seen a 90% success rate in use. We reached out to Charter Communications, the parent company of Spectrum, who told us their technicians continue to make selective service calls to keep customers and critical service providers like hospitals, first responders, and government agencies connected during the pandemic, and that they attempt to solve problems by phone before sending a technician. Also, that self-installation kits for the majority of their services are shipped directly to customers. Verizon told us when the pandemic is over, they may still use the video help feature, but technicians will still be dispatched to homes. In New York, Brett Larson, Fox News.